Governor Tyler Olson. Welcome to Paulson Electric. Glad to have you. Yeah.
I haven't been here before, so.
No, I know.
That's why I'm running for president.
Well, there you go. I mean, you didn't have to do that just for us. You can always come visit too.
It was wild. I mean,
Okay.
It was a good way to come.
Good, good. Well, we're really glad to have you.
Well, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Solar too.
Yeah.
They started with 2 people, 10 years ago, they got 70 now, and
Yeah.
small businesses as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, it really, I mean, for it's jobs, you know, economy as well as climate issues. Yeah.
That's where America's all about.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. You know, we got Boeing and Microsoft, but I would know it's like a small business and our job.
Yeah. Well, you add the 5 up across,
Yeah, the 5
you know,
up.
all the 5s, and it makes a huge
That's where
difference.
the biggest growth is.
Yeah.
The small businesses are where the biggest growth is.
Yeah, great. Well, let's take a little walk around.
Well,
and
I think
we'll show
Tom,
you
before
what
we go,
do.
I was thinking we might give them a little bit of a chance to get a quick bite while everyone's
Perfect.
set up, because we
That's
have a little
perfect.
bit early still, so
that
Governor
work?
is
Yeah, absolutely. Come on in.
I got one call I gotta make too.
without him.
That's weird.
Thanks for coming out on a cool day. We appreciate this. How you doing? Jay?
I'm all right. How are you?
Doing what your name?
Robin Cash,
Robin, nice to meet you.
Neighborhood Network News in Cedar Rapids.
Great, all right. That's the down home. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, that I can.
Scott, do that.
Yeah, Len. You should welcome everyone.
Yeah.
He's gonna say hi to everyone and then, sorry.
Okay.
Close enough.
Am I turning over to him to say something, or we going?
I think we're gonna go on a tour and then we'll sit down and talk last. Yeah.
So are we going to have a press conference? Are we going to have a press conference?
We're gonna go on a tour and then.
Hey, tell
Once you get geared
tell
up.
us crew a little about yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm
How'd you get doing this?
serve on the Cedar Rapids City Council, former Iowa State member of the Iowa State House of Representatives. Been involved with solar for about 10 or 15 years now, and have really seen a lot of growth in the state and what it's meant for jobs in the economy. Most of the projects that we do are for commercial and industrial customers. So customers that are looking to cut their energy bills, be more competitive in the marketplace, and solar has been a great way for them to do that. Typically, the customer wants to know first and foremost about the financial return on investment. That's been getting better and better as manufacturing efficiencies have come down, as installation efficiencies have come down. So typically now in Iowa, you'll see a commercial customer have a payback anywhere in the 4 to 5 year range. So that's low enough then that you can get large, sometimes even publicly traded companies to see the value of that return on investment. So.
Can you explain to our friends what the payback means? What do you mean by payback?
Oh, so in 4 or 5 years, the project will go cash flow positive. Using obviously a lot of assumptions, typically it's about a 15 to 20% internal rate of return. So as customers are looking at, do I put in a new machine, you know, that kind of thing, looking at their capital investment, solar has really gotten to a point where it competes against the return on those investments as well. So it's just been great, you know, and obviously there's a lot of environmental benefits as well, but typically our customers are interested in the dollars and cents, and solar can compete against any fuel source.
Well, I've been writing about this for over a decade, so I get this, but could you explain the payback meaning you pay it back because you have a lower utility bill, right?
Right.
So explain to me how that works.
So the value of solar really is based on the kilowatt hour that you don't buy from the utility. As we'll have a chance to see here, we have a solar installation on our roof. So every kilowatt hour that we produce there, we don't have to buy from our utility. Customers in Iowa, depending on, for a business like ours, we'll pay about 12 or 13 cents from the utility per kilowatt hour. Now the price of solar, you can install it for 4 or 5 cents over the lifetime of the system. So that difference between what it costs you to produce using solar and what you buy from the utility ends up generating a great rate of return.
Right.
Yeah.
How many people working here now?
We have across our operation, we have about 125
Great.
employees. Today, a day like today with the snow and weather and ice on the ground, we don't have too many doing solar projects. They're working on other projects. But the amount of people that we've been able to add to the team in the field doing the projects as well as in the office has grown since we started 8 or 9 years ago.
So you started in the solar business 8 or 9 years ago?
Yeah, the company is about 91 years old.
Uh-huh.
As I said, fourth generation. We really dug into the solar about 10 years ago, and I'd like to say it was some kind of wonderful insight on our part, but we had a lot of customers asking,
Really?
you know, and so
Interesting. Yeah.
when you're in business and a customer says, hey, I'm interested in this,
That's great.
you figure it out.
That's great.
And so we developed the expertise that we needed in order to be able to do a site analysis, look at a customer's electricity bills, what we think the production's going to be, and then put the cost together. We do the installation.
Yeah.
We're a IBW partner, so
Great.
International Brotherhood of
Great.
Electrical Workers, and so those team members put the project up, and then we also do maintenance, routine maintenance as
Great.
it arises. Yeah.
Great. We want to show us around?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
We'd love to have you.
All right, let's get through it here.
So,
Yeah, what's your role there?
Design,
Yep. So Robert makes it go. So he does it all.
How did you learn this skill?
so
And tell me a little bit about your background.
yeah, 26 years in the electrical industry, commercial, industrial, and automation. So when we started solar here about 10 years ago, my background is kind of rolled into that, seamlessly.
Cool.
It's awesome.
You gonna come walk around with us?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So Robert's NASDAQ certified, which is a large national accreditation. Governor, I want to see one person here.
Yeah.
This is Shelley McNulty. Shelley's father
How are you?
lives in Washington State.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, he's from Washington State.
He will be super excited.
Yeah.
He was,
Well, he's a very wise guy, so you might want to follow his advice.
Very nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in.
Congratulations, I'm really excited to learn about this.
All right, great.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming
you guys
in.
are rocking the world.
We have about 2,500 panels, so we'll be ready to go. So
These are mission.
these are Mission,
Yeah.
made in the U.S. The other panels that we have are also made in the U.S. These are actually headed to the airport here. So where you just landed.
Oh, you're gonna install them at the
We're
airport?
installing with the airport.
Where are they made? You know where they're manufactured?
Do you know where
These are in Texas.
Texas.
Texas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think our others are Mississippi.
Yeah.
Others are Mississippi.
So what is your cost in the last 10 years? I've heard solar panels in general come down 70-80%.
Yeah,
Has that been your experience?
Yeah, it's gone down significantly.
Yeah.
And so when you look at kind of the price all in of putting this in,
Right.
when we first started, it was maybe $3 per watt installed, and now we're down to $1.90.
Well, not a lot of things have got cheaper over the last
I know.
decade. I mean,
Well, and
so
there's-
it's from $3 to $1.90.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean it's almost a 50%
Yeah.
50% cut.
Yeah.
And the cost of electricity keeps going up.
Right. So
Right.
you're,
So
you're,
you've
a better,
got
you're a better bargain all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Every day we get to be. a
So
better
your
partner.
business model was brilliant.
Well, so far we've done well so far.
Yeah.
The utility here just announced an 18% rate increase.
Oh, really? No
And
kidding.
so
Yeah.
like I said, we get about a third of our power from
Yeah.
solar, and we're locked in.
When you choose a panel, is it commodity in the sense it's just cost, or is there different quality issues?
There are definitely
Characteristics
there are definitely quality issues. So there are different tiers on the quality level.
Right.
We always use the highest tier.
Uh-huh.
Some customers have different specifications
Yeah.
that are only met by a certain panel manufacturer. Cost is obviously a factor, but probably the biggest factor.
Yeah.
But there are others that go into it as well.
Yeah. So, what capacity are these? Is there kind of just a standard capacity cell?
There are different sizes. Yeah, different sizes of panels. So here we have 290 watt panels. We have, well, I think we might have used up our 330 watt, but we have some 345 watt
Yeah.
panels too. And different applications will work better for different sizes. If you're doing a ground mount,
Yeah.
perhaps the larger panel is going to work better because you just need less racking and
Yeah. Do you do
some of the
Do you
infrastructure.
do any tracking systems?
We have not done any trackers. These are all fixed. The benefit of tracking has not
Just
proven to
hasn't
outweigh the
proven out,
cost. Yeah. Now, on some very large, utility, 25, 30 megawatt projects, you'll see the benefit of it. But most of our customers are like us, and the fixed works pretty well.
Do you know where we make polysilicon that goes into panels in
Yeah.
Washington State?
Sure.
A company called REC in Moses Lake.
Okay.
Could any of that be in these panels, you know?
Could be. I don't know, Robert. Do you know where they get the components?
So we make the polysilicon substrate that ends up in the panel itself.
Sure.
And we do a lot of export. I just wonder if they end up going to mission.
They could.
Yeah.
They absolutely could.
If it works, it's probably from Washington.
There you go. Yeah, the highest quality.
Yeah.
Those tier 1 is
Tier
definitely
one,
the
that is tier
Washington
one.
silicate. That's right.
Is there a rating system by any sort of industrial panel to rate these, or do you do your own quality assessment?
Who does the rating system? You know who does, Robert? The quality control?
They're all UL listed. and have
UL,
that,
yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Well, let's see what else you
Yeah,
got here.
well, we'll go upstairs and we're gonna have a chance to go out. The snow's deep, but it's actually very hard.
Tyler, do we want to let people, the cameras go first? So they can hear you?
You got some?
Yeah, we do. Hold on, let me grab it. I think up here is pretty firm. Right there's a little bit. Governor.
Yeah.
So sorry about the conditions.
Great.
We're having kind of a rough winter.
This is a perfect solar day, man.
Yeah. Well, when it's cold like this, the panels are operating at their peak efficiency. So
you don't have any thermal.
exactly. Yeah. So you actually are getting more production out of every hour of daylight. Now you have a little less daylight.
Right.
So overall, you maybe aren't producing as much, but
So
it's very efficient.
what is the thermal property?
Hey, Robert. We got a question for you.
We got an expert here.
The governor asked. I told him when it's cold like this, it's high efficiency. He asked about some of the when it's warmer, like do you know what the inefficiency is? Like how much power you lose in the.
It's all relative to heat, so ambient temperature or just the losses just has to do with heat. So it depends on the temperature,
Yeah.
the temperature of the model.
Can you quantify it?
3% or 50%? Or
It just
obviously, it's minimal.
It is minimal.
I mean, it just depends on the
Right.
temperature of the day.
Yeah.
So what is the superstructure? So we use that much time for that?
Yeah, we do. So our roof is we have a membrane roof. So on a project like this, we just have concrete blocks sitting right on top of the roof. Yeah. So you don't actually have to puncture the roof. You don't have to worry about leaks and that kind of thing. What we'll do is we'll put down one thin layer of roof membrane on the block, and then it just sits there. And you just have the steel racking that's attached. Well, so you can kind of see back here along the back of the building, right there, sticking out. That is actually to keep the wind from going into there. It keeps some of that lift down. They're rated to about 100 miles per hour. So unless a tornado hits the building, and then so unless a tornado hits, you're probably going to be pretty good. Now a lot of a building like this over here across the way, you can see it's got that metal.
Yeah, so what do you do on that?
So what we do there is we have a over the top of that stainless steel.
Oh, we just plant
And it just clamps right onto the seams. Yeah. And that's actually one of the most efficient kinds of roofs. Then you get to a mechanical attach to the electrical to attach it to the trusses.
So most of your research is
Most of them just sit like this, where it's like like this, and then the ground too. Just to give you some perspective on how much more efficient it is. This costs us roughly $100,000. And today we would probably pay 60 or something for the same system.
It's just awesome.
Yeah, it's about a third of our power. We put it in about 7 or 8 years ago, so it's been paid off. Like every kilowatt hour now is just money in our pocket. Yeah, it's great. We love it.
Money machine is better than Vegas.
It wins every time.
It's better than Vegas. You win every time.
As long as it's
Yeah.
So another thing we do, you'll notice like there's a lot of snow coming. That obviously diminishes the production. What we'll do is we get a site-specific production estimate, and we plug it in against here's the weather. So it takes into account snow, rain, cloudy days. In order to give the customer an accurate representation of what their production is going to be. But even on a day like today, there's still going to be sun, unfortunately, for us now.
So for the new system. What is it for
So we say 25 years, and the reason is the warranty. Yeah, and it's a production warranty. We expect about 5%, or 25% annual degradation. So by the time you get to 25 years, you're at production, which we build into our production. They'll produce for 30 years. But we just cut out a front for 25 years. Yeah.
What do you project those costs?
Yeah. It's not going to be probably quite that much. It's starting to come down over the bottom of the curve. It's going federal tax credit is set to start to step down.
Keep your hands.
What we have heard from manufacturers is that we hope that even if that tax credit does start to step down, the price will continue to come down just to match that. So, exactly. So if we can keep to a customer in the 4 to 5 year range, then we feel good. Yep. Well, we-
Good, young. So, okay, we don't want to freeze
head
these
back
guys
in,
here.
yeah.
We care about the press.
So it's probably that's a little over 10%. Yeah, the panels are the big, the big cost. And then you probably have labor to put it together, and then
So as a percentage total cost labor is, what do you figure?
I don't know. Is Robert in here? We'll ask. He's gonna join us downstairs. After we sit down. But it's actually not a huge part. It's not a big part.
Yeah. Did you get a panel we could just look at?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe,
Yep.
maybe even if we, I think we might talk to these guys in conference room or something.
Yeah, we're gonna sit down here.
Yeah, if there's a panel we have, you can just show me.
So I mean, it's the job growth and potential. I think would be
Yeah.
I think I said in Iowa we got about 800 jobs connected with solar in particular, and then wind obviously another order of magnitude.
Right.
You'll see a lot of it as you drive.
Well,
as you
no,
drive this afternoon.
I was in
Meetings.
Story County looking at the
Yeah.
legislation.
Yeah.
You know, and every half mile there was another blade going by on a
Right.
trailer.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
So some of that manufacturing has been developed here. You have companies like Clipper Wind, Axiom,
Yeah.
TPI over in
Was Clipper
Newton.
the first?
Clipper might have been the first.
'Cause I wrote about them in my book. That's why.
Okay, they might have been. TPI, which builds, I believe, builds the towers, is in Newton, and they were pretty early on too. There was an Amana Maytag facility that closed in Newton, and the town of Newton repurposed the building
Right.
and put it in for
Right, that's pretty exciting.
the wind. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And that's which company?
hey, Robert, we're gonna come over here. That's I think that TPI.
TPI?
Yeah, I believe is the name of the company.
Yeah, and we're
Newton. Yeah. So that's like a little bit this side of
yeah.
a little bit this side of Des Moines, but
That's a cool story. I gotta write that story.
yeah. Well, you should definitely. I'll give you some of the background on this.
Yeah,
Also,
that's great.
But 800 solar jobs, and they're growing too. So
Yeah.
2 years ago, in 2016, Iowa had 64% growth in solar jobs.
Wow.
And last year it wasn't quite that much,
Right.
but it is one of the fastest growing
Yeah.
industries in the state. One of the things that is kind of on our radar screen is state regulations, particularly utility regulations.
Yeah.
So there is some legislation circulating at the State House in Des Moines that would really crimp net metering, which, as you know, is the ability to exchange power with your utility. While we produce about 33% of our power that we use a year here with solar, there are going to be some days where we don't have anybody in the building and there's a lot of production, and so some of that is going out onto the grid. And that helps the utilities in a few ways. One, obviously the production is spread around, so the power quality can be a little better. And secondly, a lot of the power, that's that excess capacity, is produced at peak times.
Yeah.
When the utilities are buying it, it's the most expensive for them.
Right.
And we're helping them out as a generator that way. And so, we believe that customers should be able to get a credit for the
Right.
power that they're sending to the grid. Utilities sometimes don't always see it that way.
Well, all you need to advise your state legislators is to follow the Enslee net metering bill that I
Yeah?
tried to get through Congress 10 years ago.
Okay.
I've
Well, we'll
been
do that.
I've been working on this a long time. This is so central to job creation in solar, so I'm really hopeful you have a good result. And hopefully some of your colleagues will make sure we get a good result.
I appreciate it. I have talked to some of my former colleagues more
Good,
than once about
good,
it. Yeah.
good. It's a big deal. And it's one of those things that, sounds arcane,
Yeah.
but it's just fundamental to the success of the job creation.
Yeah.
So this is where policy comes in.
It really is, and it makes a big difference. And to have a national policy like you
Yeah,
worked on would be great for
Yeah.
for job growth across the country.
yeah.
A lot of for a state like Iowa in particular, we don't have a lot of that large utility size projects. And if we do, it's not going to be Iowans building it.
Right.
And so to have, I hope we have those projects, but we also need to maintain a strong local network, where a business like ours can put it on the roof. And those jobs are going to go to Iowans. In our case, they're going to go to, members of IB Revenue. They're going to go up on the roof or on the ground and put these things up.
Well, this is one place where I think it makes sense to have a president who knows this field, because I've been working on net neutrality now for over a decade.
Yeah.
So hopefully, if I end up in the White House, we can help out.
Yeah.
Because this is a job creation enterprise right here. If we get a net metering bill, we can really grow those jobs. So to me, it's all about jobs. That's what I believe. It's jobs in America, in Iowa. And in my state, as I said, we're building some silicon substrate in my state. So, hey, could you just tell folks how this works? What are we looking
Well,
at?
so
What's the connection?
So behind here, you have basically a number of cells that are all then put together in this racking system, for lack of a better word. And then there's a glass sheet here on the top. They're actually very durable. If there wasn't so much snow up there, we could have put our feet on them and really pushed on them. There's some great videos floating around the internet of air cannon firing an ice ball at these things.
Yeah.
They're very durable and flexible. So inside of that, then you have, like you mentioned, the silica, which heats up, moves around, and that's how you generate that power.
And you got a connection to each cell, has one connection?
Well,
The wire, how does it work?
well, they're all here connected, but if you look here on the back,
Yeah.
here, we can turn it around. So then the cells, like on our project, the cells are connected by a string. A number of cells are connected together. I think there's actually about maybe 30 on a string, Robert, something like that on our roof, that then go into the inverters there. A lot of times now the technology has gone to microinverters, where you have an inverter actually on the back of each of these panels. Some of that's due to the International Fire Code,
Yeah.
needing some rapid shutdown requirements close to the power source. But it also allows for panel-by-panel monitoring of production.
Right.
So most of that stuff is internet-based, and customers just bring up their cell phone or on their desktop, and they can see exactly which panels are producing what.
So I think you said you've had maybe a 50% reduction in cost in the last decade?
Well, it's been close. It has come down from $3 plus to now more like
Okay, or
$1.90.
33% reduction in any event.
Yeah.
Were those reduction costs from the cell costs or your installation techniques or both? Or
Both.
both? Yeah.
I think the majority of it probably has come from the cost of the panel.
Right.
The panel the panels are the biggest percentage of a project as far as the cost goes.
Yeah.
So as manufacturing efficiencies and they're just more production out of a single panel comes up.
Sucker around again, get these guys.
The cost comes down pretty significantly. What is the breakdown, Robert, as far as the cost? You have the cost of the panel is like what percentage of the project? So about 25%. So you come up with even a few pennies of per watt efficiency. That's really going to bring down the cost of the panel.
Yeah.
But we're definitely better at installing them now.
Is
than
this
we were 10
the
years ago, too.
size that you'd use in a residential installation?
Come on up here, Robert. Why don't you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah.
So this is a 72 cell module, which means it has 72 6x6 cells. A typical residential module would be a 60 cell module, so it would be roughly that height, same width, or
Yeah.
about that dimension. They're usually, about 3.5 feet by 6 foot, or these are 6.5 feet by.
Got it. So these are union members who are doing this station?
Yep.
Yeah. And when you come in to have your first job here, what's your first job here? Do they
Well,
go through an
so-
apprenticeship before they get to you, or what's
Yeah,
the situation?
yeah, so we are the National Electrical Contractors Association, partners with the IBEW. We have a joint apprenticeship training center. It's just on the southwest side of town here. They actually do some solar training
Yeah.
in the apprenticeship program. So typically, the apprenticeship program is about 6 years. And it's a great program because folks that are in it are getting trained, but they're also getting paid to do the work,
So
right?
are they in the apprenticeship here during the
Yeah,
apprenticeship?
so there's some time they spend in the classroom, and then they spend a certain amount of time on job sites as well.
Yeah.
And so for us, it'd be could be a job site anywhere,
Right.
anywhere around where we're working.
Uh-huh.
But they're getting that hands-on training and getting paid instead of paying for it.
Yeah.
So it's a great program.
Yeah, we're developing, we call it Career Connected Washington
Yeah.
in our state. We want to have, the most robust apprenticeship, career connected learning, because we want to give people just not a college
Absolutely.
avenue to a career.
Yeah.
We want to see apprenticeships, not just in this manufacturing, but we're doing it in healthcare.
Yeah.
We're doing all kinds of different industries,
Yeah.
and it's really working. We had our first computer coding apprenticeship
That's
in America's history graduating class
Yeah.
last year. So we're excited about what we're
Yeah.
doing on that.
Those are, the apprenticeships are great connections.
Yeah.
Between learning in a classroom environment and then the practical, kind of what are you going to do
Right.
with it.
Right.
The local journeymen here make $50 plus
Uh-huh.
an hour.
Great.
And so
Great.
it's a great program, and you
Yeah.
have no debt when you're done
Yeah.
with the apprenticeship
Just a
program.
second, I wanna- So these are long-term careers for people? People stay in this their whole
absolutely.
career?
Yep.
Are people working for you long-term?
Absolutely, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, we've had people longer than I've been here.
Yeah.
That are part of our field team.
Right.
It's a great career track. There's a pension, ongoing training, and so it's absolutely a career, and people had fulfilling
Yeah.
careers.
Yeah.
Hey, Governor.
Yeah.
We gotta get moving here pretty quickly, so why don't you tell them why you're here, why you're riding.
Great. If you'll hold this, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jay Enslee. I'm here. I just announced I'm a candidate to be the next president of the United States, and it is my belief that we need a president who understands the job-creating opportunities inherent in clean energy and fighting climate change. And we're here at Paulson, which is just exhibit A of the opportunities where small businesses can start. This was a small business. It's blossomed. We've got, how many people working here now?
About 125.
About 125 people working, doing the kind of thing that we know is going to grow dramatically in the United States. It's going to grow dramatically. We want to make it grow even faster by having a president who will embrace a clean energy vision for the United States. And there are so many ways that the next president can create an ambition for clean energy. We know that we can have requirements that our electrical grid is powered by renewable energy. We're actually doing that in my state as we speak, passing a law. I hope that we will be successful, requiring 100% of our electricity come from clean sources. We know we can grow millions of jobs in multiple industries. Solar is our favorite today, but there are so many others in wind and retrofitting our buildings, in electrifying our transportation system, in working in so many ways to provide more efficiencies in our homes and offices. And when we do this, we want to do it in a way that helps all the people of the United States, including the frontline communities, the marginalized communities, the people who live in poverty, who so often have been exposed to pollution. And we want to build not just a transition, but a just transition, like they're doing right here, where they're getting people to have apprenticeships and getting a new way to have a new career, and then having a great wage in Iowa so successfully. So being here today is just a small door to open to a broader vision for the United States. We know that we're going to be successful in this if we have a definition of a mission from the White House. And we know we can do this because I heard Kennedy saying we're going to go to the moon in 10 years. Now we need the similar type of mission statement coming from the president. And when we get this, I believe the nation will respond. We have Tyler and the great IBEW members who are responding to an obvious need. They have now seized an economic opportunity that is also an environmental imperative. And I have to tell you, we were just talking about his children and my grandchildren. This building here represents a promise to our grandchildren that we are not going to destroy their future. We have seen our forests burning down. I was in Paradise, California a few months ago, a town of 25,000, burned to the ground, literally. In my state, kids could not go outside because of the air quality, because of the forest fires. Here in Iowa, you are suffering potential reduction of agricultural production because of the mass precipitation events. That makes it difficult. Last time I was here, it was difficult for people to get out in their tractors because it was so wet. In Miami Beach, where they've had to build up the roads because of the encroaching water, in Houston that was drowned in the floods, this building represents an opportunity for our children and our grandchildren to have a healthy future. It also, this building represents a very important thing, which is improving our national security. Because the Pentagon, our generals, our admirals have identified climate change as a significant threat to our national security. As places become deserts and mass migrations take place, it destabilizes countries. So this building not only is putting people to work big time and growing, and that's what's under Tyler's leadership we're just thrilled to see, but it is also providing our kids with a future, and that's why I'm excited to be here. Now, I'm most excited about the job potential because I love putting people to work, and we've done it in my state. We've got the best economy in the United States, the best GDP growth, the best wage growth, the best job creation, because we've seized the opportunities in part in clean energy. And we want to do that across the United States, like happening right here in Iowa. So I'm excited to be here, and I want to thank Tyler for giving us an instruction, and congratulations on this tremendous success.
Appreciate it.
For what you're doing. And I'm happy to stand for questions or comments.
Governor, I wanted to talk to you about another hot button issue in the Democratic primary, which is money in politics. Many of your opponents have disavowed super PACs' help. They say they don't want any support from super PACs. So how do you feel about the group, Act on Climate Now, that's up on airwaves right now? Are you comfortable with the support they're giving you?
Well, I can only speak to my organization, which is Enslee for America, and our organization is doing very well. This message of climate change has been very energizing to people. We've raised $1 million in the last, few period of time before I launched, and so we're happy about that. There's another organization that you just told me about. My understanding is that these are people who want to defeat climate change. My understanding is what you might call them climate warriors, I guess, where they want to defeat climate change. And this is something I've been very passionate about for decades. I've been working very hard to defeat climate change. So no, I won't be condemning any organization that's trying to defeat climate change. I am saying, however, though, that, and I hope other my colleagues follow me, I'm saying that I will not take any corporate PACs, nor will I accept $1 from fossil fuel industry, and I hope my other colleagues in the race will do that, because we need to break the iron grip of the fossil fuel industry on our democracy, because they have stymied the development of businesses like this. They have got huge tax breaks that give the fossil fuel industry, these industries that are putting out massive pollution. Here you have an industry with zero pollution, and yet we're giving the dirty industry the huge tax breaks. So we need, and I'm not taking any dollars from them, and we need to end those tax breaks. We need to stop subsidizing these very polluting industries. So I'm hopeful other colleagues will follow my suggestion on this.
So just to clarify, you're comfortable with super PAC support, but not taking PAC money from corporate PACs?
I'm not accepting corporate PAC money, and I've refused to take any money from fossil fuel industries. And if I'm in the President of the United States, we're going to end those subsidies that taxpayers are now shelling out their money, if you will, to the oil and gas and coal industry. I think that's fundamentally wrong, while that pollution is literally killing us. But listen, I'm not going to condemn anybody who's fighting climate change. We need to beat climate change. It's a national mission statement number one.
Governor, this plant right near us, I understand, is a big ethanol plant, ADM, with the big smokestacks.
Yeah.
What role does ethanol play in the future of the country's energy future? Should it be subsidized?
I think that we need to continue our efforts to develop all low and zero carbon footprint industries and energy sources. And that includes biofuels of a variety of types. I do believe that while we have been giving these giant subsidies to the fossil fuel industry and not giving subsidies at all to some of these nascent new industries, we need to right that imbalance. So I do believe it's appropriate to help new industries develop new products. We're doing that in my state, where we've developed biofuels that can actually fly Boeing 737 jets across the Atlantic Ocean. That's a decent investment in non-polluting industries. And I think that we've seen the development of whole new industries where we've had modest help for entities to get them going. And that's what we do in our country. We invent, we create, we build, and this is part of that building and inventing process. So I'm happy to see Iowa, we're trying to double the production capacity of one of our refineries that uses Iowa feedstocks right now. So there's a tie between my state and Iowa to try to develop more biofuels. I believe that's the right thing to do, and we got to break this climate change, and one of the ways to do it is to have biofuels.
You have ag operations in your own state, and obviously it's a big concern here. When folks hear the Green New Deal and the discussion of how our family farm is going to be impacted, how our agricultural operations is going to be impacted, what would you put forward in terms of actual efforts that can be undertaken by operations here in Iowa to cut down on carbon emissions?
Well, we think that there is a very promising role for agriculture to sequester carbon dioxide, to get it out of the atmosphere and get it into our topsoil where it can do good. And this might someday even become a revenue generating thing for the agricultural industry, where they can in some sense sell their service of taking carbon dioxide, which is a dangerous gas now, to our climate, out of the atmosphere and getting it into the soil. We're also evaluating the same thing in our forests, because trees essentially take out carbon dioxide and sequester it in the timber. So when we are considering our policies, we think there's a robust position for agriculture to move forward. Now there's also the biofuels industry, as you know here, which is an entire industry that I believe has a promising future. I wrote about it in my book 11 years ago, talking about the possibilities. And we still are now doing research and development to get advanced biofuels. We are supporting that in my state. I've started a clean energy research facility, and that is open to do investigation about advanced biofuels. So we think there is a really good future, but all flowers got to bloom, in my view. Look, we've got solar, we've got wind, we've got biofuels, we got hydro, we have energy efficiency, we have new battery technology. My belief is we have to help foster multiple sources to solve this problem. There's no one silver bullet. There's just kind of silver buckshot. But here's one key, and I'll just tell you my central message. We need to make this the number one priority of the United States in the next administration. And I'm the only candidate who is saying this. I'm the candidate who is committing to make defeating climate change and building clean energy jobs the number one, first, foremost, and paramount duty of the United States government. And I believe that because unless we do that, we will not succeed. So I'm the candidate who is making this commitment, and I'm also the candidate who has been getting this job done in the state of Washington, that has actually acquired experience on getting that done. Like Iowa, we've gone from zero to a $6 billion wind industry, in part because of some of my leadership working for other people to pass a renewable portfolio standard. We are electrifying our cars, and we have either the first or second largest use of electric cars, in part because we have built charging stations up and down our interstate system. We are doing development to help small companies like this get started with the Clean Energy Development Fund that I have led. So we've had some positive experience in Washington, and we're going to have more, because I have a series of bills that are, I hope, going to pass my legislature this year, including a 100% promise of clean energy in the electrical grid, much of which can come from solar power. I've also been at this for a long time. This has been a multi-decadal passion of mine. I've got grandchildren, and I'm dedicated to making sure they have a healthy planet to live on.
Governor, when legislatures try to frustrate solar by decreasing tariffs and levying grid charges, what would be the appropriate response? And would you support municipal or public ownership of monopoly utilities?
Well, we believe that as Lincoln said, as our case is new, we must think anew. And one of the ways we need to think is to have new systems of providing electricity, essentially. We've had, over a century of having, you might call them monolithic utilities, if you will, and I think it is time for us to explore ways to have smaller community-based solar, community-based systems of many kinds, and find a way that we can do that that does not make the grid unworkable. We simply have to make sure that the grid will work, but I think there's multiple ways to do that. We are finding very broad acceptance of residential small solar in my state. Now, you might think of Seattle as not exactly Palm Springs when it comes to sun, but in fact, it's cost effective in my state, even with an occasional cloud that comes over. So we are high on small residential and small commercial and small community-based solar. It's growing in my state. And the thing that's exciting to me is solar is growing in my state both on a small and large perspective. I got to cut the ribbon on the largest solar farm in the state of Washington just a couple months ago, and it was an area in the wheat fields next to a town of about 300. It was just kind of a beautiful thing to see silicon surrounded by wheat, and it was just really a terribly exciting thing because that was created because of legislation that I got passed as governor. So this is an exciting time for all of us to see the birth of a new industry.
Could I ask, there's other Governor Hickenlooper's now in the race, other Western governors. Governor Bullock is here in town. He's looking at jumping in the race. What is it that other Western governors have missed that you have taken advantage of?
Well, listen, I have been at this now for 2 decades. It's a recognition that I've had for a long time. I was the governor who wrote and co-authored a book about this subject 11 years ago. I am the governor who has brought many policies in my state that have embraced clean energy, and I'm the governor right now who is advancing more policies now. And most importantly, I'm the governor and the only candidate who says very clearly this needs to be the #1 priority for the United States. To govern is to choose, and that is what I'm choosing to say should be a mission statement for the United States. So this is a clarion call. I want to blow the bugle and rally people to this cause. I believe it will be something that America is really good at, which is innovation and building whole new economies. I get that in part because of the innovative culture of my state and the success that we have already had. So I'm happy to be in this race, looking forward to the discussion in Iowa.
Have you talked with Governor Hickenlooper yet, since you guys both jumped in?
No, but I'm sure we will meet. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Tyler, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate having you here. We appreciate your leadership.
Okay.
Try to do a stand up in here.
Okay. Check my microphone.
Okay. Thank you.
Where are you headquartered? Where are you headquartered?
Most of the time in Des Moines. Technically out of
great.
DC, but
Oh, yeah, great.
most of the time I'll be with Alex here in town.
Oh, great. That's a good posting.
Yeah.
Governor, the biggest user of petroleum is our military, so I
Yeah,
wonder,
we're going to have a green fleet.
so how are we going to do that?
We're going to start greening our fleet and all our fleets, and we've started that. I was really happy to work when I was in Congress doing that. We're going to continue that work. Good to see you.
All right. Is that going to influence our foreign intervention?
Well, I hope we don't win the wars going. I know that. Okay. Okay. We'll keep talking.
Yeah, okay.
Safe travels. Did you get a chance to meet Hazel when you came in?
Hazel, I didn't see you there. I'm sorry.
No, nice to
The
meet
face
you,
of our
Governor.
organization.
Opening the whole show for us.
Hey, not a problem.
We are going to brag about you all over the United States.
Why?
Glad that the snow was so
Because you do such great work.
Is that what Tyler said?
We're going to talk about these companies.
Yeah.
That's great.
Safe travels.
We're making things.
Hey, thank you.
Talk to you soon.
I mean,
If every event goes to
subsidiary.
That's great. I hope so.
Maybe I'll be in Seattle.
Oh, no, you'll be in the